I was driving through the streets of Liberty City and a question popped into my head. Why isn't this game talked about as much as the other GTA games? I mean, it's also made by Rockstar, right? 18 years have passed since the launch of GTA 4, and I have vague memories of this game. I remember when my cousin used to play it on his laptop when he came home for a few days, and I just used to watch him play. I think this was like back in 2010 or 2011 or something. It sure does make me nostalgic, which is weird because I wasn't actively playing the game. I only got around to it a few years later. Now, GTA 4 has always been kind of an outlier in the GTA series in a way, because it feels similar yet at the same time trying to tackle something different, especially with covering the themes of the American dream and its consequences. It certainly is one of the more mature GTA games. I think that could also be the reason why it's not talked about as much, since people think it takes itself a little bit too seriously at times. And let's be honest, most of the GTA fanbase now would want anything that is not serious. Which is weird because even this game has a lot of edgy humor and satirical elements just like the other games, but it does like to take itself seriously too. Another reason could be due to the setting. Now this might be an unpopular opinion, but I much prefer Liberty City as a setting than Los Santos or Vice City. I don't know, there's something about it that speaks to me. Liberty City in GTA 4 feels a lot different compared to what we saw in GTA 3. It intentionally looks drab and grey to portray the harsh reality of the American dream. The art style really helps paint it as this lonely, cold and heartless place, which obviously is a result of the so-called hustle culture and constantly chasing materialism that people don't seem to enjoy themselves much anymore, which is a stark contrast to the other games in the series. Obviously people would find it a little boring and depressing, but I love how this city feels like a character of its own and how that adds to the narrative. Hell, even the rains have a personality, and I really like how GTA 4 manages to differentiate itself in this way. I really love the stylistic choices they made and the fact that Rockstar intentionally avoided to make it like an exact replica of New York, because that would have been really boring and too familiar. I love Liberty City as an open world space. It's a lot more stylistic compared to a lot of other modern open world games, which is why it's memorable, at least for me. Now I get why people aren't really as big of a fan of the driving in this game, however I really personally prefer it over GTA 5. The reason being why is that in this game I actually feel the weight of the cars, especially while turning. They don't feel featherweight like most of the cars do in GTA 5. And surprisingly, even the car physics look a lot more realistic. I like that in this game you can't blindly accelerate across the roads and still maintain control of the vehicle, especially during sharp turns. It places more emphasis on using brakes, especially during turns. And it's also really sick to pull off this sick drift move if you press the brake buttons in the right time. Also, the cool detail is that the car tires are much more likely to slip during rainy seasons, so maneuverability becomes a lot tougher. I appreciate the challenge of driving in GTA 4. People don't like it because it's not as easy as GTA 5, but I beg to differ. My only criticism with the game is with regards to the bikes. I'm sorry, but I'm not really a fan of how uncontrollable and rigid they are, especially during turns. Like, bikes should feel much more lighter and maneuverable than cars, but it's the opposite in this game for some reason. And even the helicopter controls are quite clunky. But to be honest, none of the GTA games have good flying controls. Also, it's really weird that you can't fly airplanes in this game. I don't know why they went to the whole trouble of making an entire airport if you just can't fly any of the airplanes. Maybe because of memory restrictions they couldn't make it so, which is a damn shame. I would have loved to fly a 747 through a certain building. The gunplay in this game is a lot more crisp and the gunfights feel a lot more tense and engaging than 5 in my opinion. This is mainly because enemies are a lot more tougher as they have the added health bar, so they can't get one shot anymore. Not even civilians can. Crouching in place and the cover system are also welcome additions that lead to better shooting experiences. It just feels more tactical in this game, and it's also crucial to use them as much as possible, or you're gonna get absolutely cooked. A cool little detail is that people start limping once they're shot and are at low health, and I also really love the sounds that the guns make. They really turn me on.
Brother,
The only thing that I'm not a fan of is the lock-on system. The game just randomly locks on to a random civilian or someone else sometimes instead of the target I want to shoot, which is really frustrating. And it's really tough to switch back to the target you're shooting. You can turn it off no problem, but I think it's still a valid criticism. We also got the melee hand-to-hand combat. Now to be honest, I think the system is pretty clunky and unpolished. But I like the fact that you can't just KO civilians in one shot like in GTA 5. They can take a lot more hits and even hit back harder. And I get that it's more of a hassle fighting them than 5, but I think it makes the game a lot more grounded and real, as you don't feel like an invincible god. You're just a human. As there is a threat of you being knocked out as well from these fights, which keeps the tension and the fun alive. Now, losing cops in this game isn't as easy too. As soon as you reach 3 stars, it starts to get difficult. It took me ages of driving around to finally get rid of them, and I like the fact that with more stars, things only get tougher. GTA 5 in my opinion makes the act of escaping the cops a lot easier. I think this was probably done to make it easier for casual players who love to play recklessly and without consequences, but GTA 4 doesn't hesitate to punish you hard, as the cops in this game are generally a lot tougher. Now before I go further into this video, I have to address the elephant in the room. That is, the PC version of this game is absolutely cooked. It crashes randomly and really poorly optimized. Which is why I highly recommend you install the Fusion Fix mods for a much more smoother experience. There are plenty of videos online which gives you instructions of how to install them. I really think that these mods make a huge difference and it really fix a broken mess of the PC port. I was really impressed with the sheer amount of stuff you can do in this game. There's so much content this game has to offer, from doing random jobs, car races, hanging out with your buddies, playing games, meeting random strangers and doing missions with them, and also the assassination missions. These are just few of the things that I discovered. This game is certainly packed to the brim and I like the fact that there is so much to do outside the main story, which was a criticism that I had with GTA 5. Another good thing is that you can access quite a few buildings in this game, whether it be going inside a burger shop or a random car showroom or a laundry room. I love this and it's such a shame that 5 got rid of these spaces. I really hope with GTA 6 they make more buildings accessible. It's just fun to discover what's inside them. One of the systems I absolutely love in this game is the buddy hangout system, which is part of the reason why the characters in this game feel so much more memorable. They can call you anytime for a hangout outside the main story and you can call them too. You can do jobs for them and it just helps get closer to them. As you do, the respect and the love the characters have for you grows, and you do get rewards for hanging out with your buddies, like the gun service from Little Jacob where you can buy guns at a discounted rate. You can ride the Roman Scab for free also, and also the bomb service from Packy. I love this system, it feels very similar to the Confidant system in Persona in a way. Also the fact that you can do so many activities with your buddies is a plus, from bowling to darts to getting shit-faced with the boys. It's a shame that GTA 5 kinda made this system worse, by really limiting the amount of activities you can do. So I really hope Rockstar builds on top of this system when it comes to GTA 6. The internet exists in this game too, just like GTA 5, which you can browse via a cafe. You can read articles, find out about cars, and also go on dating apps to date people. Unfortunately, the game is so realistic that I barely heard back from anybody. Also, I forgot to mention that you can read and send emails. A cool attention to detail is that the people you're dating will notice what Nico is wearing and also his car, which plays a huge factor as to whether the date is successful or not. So you pretty much got dressed to impress. Just when I thought this game could not get any real, man. But unfortunately, Nico doesn't look so good in clothes. Like my dad has a better fit than this, no offense. The selection of clothes and accessories in this game aren't really the best. And it's such a shame that you can't really cut your hair or shave in this game. The options for customizing the way Nico looks in this game are very limited. Which is surprising because this game came out after San Andreas, which definitely had a lot more options in terms of customizing the way CJ looks. Maybe they dialed it back due to time constraints or memory limitations, who knows. I also need to address the fact that I hate that there are no checkpoints in this game for missions. If you fail, you gotta start all over again. It pisses me off. The early GTA games had the same problem, which is why I couldn't really finish the main story of those games. Same with GTA 4. I mean, I can still forgive the older GTA games for not having those since they were much older, but it's hard to defend GTA 4 for that, as this game came out in 2008, where a lot of games already had mission checkpoints. This is definitely one thing about this game that hasn't aged well. I especially hated this when I was playing the mission 3-Leaf Clover. Now this is either the best mission in the game or the most frustrating one. What can I say? Your companions Packy and Derek keep coming in front of you whilst firing. Sometimes the AI just don't respond. Having to restart this again and again pissed me off because it was not even my fault for failing. I also think the mission design in GTA 4 could get quite repetitive, as a lot of missions involve you chasing people down and killing them. I would say at least 1/4 of the game's missions are like that. And this might be an unpopular opinion, but GTA 4 has the least memorable missions out of the series. That is not to say that there are no good missions in this game. I enjoyed 3-Leaf Clover despite its problems. Late checkout was pretty cool, and also hostile negotiation. Yet even these missions are quite similar to each other and involve a full-on shootout. If you look at GTA missions across the whole series, I do believe that GTA 4's missions certainly don't stand out as much. Now I think it's about time to dive deep into what I believe is the strongest aspect of this game, the narrative. Starting with our main character Nico. Now Nico Bellic is one of the most compelling protagonists that Rockstar has created. He is cold and mysterious at the start, which reminded me a bit of John Marston at the start of Red Dead Redemption. He's a man on a mission and we don't quite know what his intentions are. That's what makes his journey all the more fascinating as we learn more about him. Now, Nico immigrates to US from Eastern Europe, most likely from the Balkans or former Yugoslavia. He comes from a Serbian family and also fought in the Yugoslavia wars. He's from a village near Yugoslavia which got nearly slaughtered during the wars because he and his allies got betrayed by one person and most of his friends were killed. So Nico wants to get his revenge on this guy who seems to be in Liberty City. I think I've never been this invested in a character's backstory than I am with Nico's. Like, I'd love to find out what events transpired during the war. What was Nico like before the war? How is his family back home like? They created such a cool background for this character, man, and I would love to see a prequel with him. Roman is one of the major supporting characters and probably my favorite character in the game. He's a cousin of Nico's and just like him immigrated to Liberty City long back, probably to escape the war and also make it big in America. He's a character that truly believes in the American dream. He's optimistic and uses every opportunity he can to make money. Though this trait of his lands him into serious trouble many times. But I absolutely love Roman and his relationship with Nico, and no matter what happens to him, he never rats out or betrays Nico for the money. He always has his back no matter what. Yes, he can be a bit of a prick sometimes, and I mean certainly he would get cancelled today for saying a lot of crazy things in the game, but you got Brucey for that. A steroid junkie. Now I gotta say, this character is literally Andrew Tate before Andrew Tate became a thing. He always likes to show that he's tough and also says the most insane shit. He also treats women like accessories. I guess through him the game wants to give a commentary on so-called alpha males and how they're nothing but pussies at the end of the day, cause he literally runs to Nico for most of her tough jobs like offing someone, as he's too chicken shit to do it himself. Another one of my favorite characters is Little Jacob. He's good of heart and always loyal to Nico and respects him no matter what. I think that's mainly due to the fact that they are both immigrants and are on the same boat pretty much, as they both got involved in the life of crime from a young age. And I really like it that they keep the Jamaican speech even though it's pretty difficult for me to understand. It keeps things authentic and adds a dimension to the character and makes him all the more memorable. It would have been interesting if he could potentially play as him in one of the story DLCs, because the history and background of Jamaican immigrants settled in the US is also quite interesting. And it would be cool to see more of his origin story and how he got involved with criminal gangs. But I guess we never will, which is a shame. Anyway, now I want to talk about immigration and how people come to the West still believing in the idea of the American dream, even though it's just an illusion as the West is more cooked than ever. The economy keeps getting worse, the cost of living is crazy high, crime is on the rise. It's certainly interesting to revisit this game during this political climate, where the illusion of the West being this golden utopia of sorts has completely been shattered, thanks to a particular orange individual. Without saying too much about myself, I really relate to Nico and Roman in a way, as I'm also from a third world country trying to make a better life here in the West, and it's tough, man. I'm sure there are people who have experienced much worse than me, being exploited by shitty places for a crappy pay, but they got no choice but to stick it out because the situation back home doesn't seem any better. And it's interesting to play this game at a time like this. Of course, by saying this, I don't mean to say that I support illegal immigration, and it's understandable for the locals to be pissed off about this as well, as more and more of these jobs get taken by them as they agree to work for lower rates. It's just such a shitty situation all around, but it sucks that the rich and corrupt politicians use immigration as a scapegoat to fuel the fire even more. Even though they don't give a fuck about any of us, immigrant or non-immigrant. They just want to make money off you, which is exactly what most of the characters care about in GTA 4. Man, I really have to say that this game's story is really ahead of its time, man. Shout out to Dan Houser and his team of writers to come up with it. This story certainly would have felt more personal to him since he's also an immigrant. Throughout the game, Nico gets involved with a lot of people from organized crime groups, the first one of them being Mikhail Faustin. Now, Mikhail is an interesting character because he's portrayed in a bad light initially, abusing his wife, being controlling towards his daughter, and also being rude and mean to Dimitri, the only person he trusted and who he served in the army with, only to be fucked over by him by the end. He also says a really good line that talks about the American greed and how it consumes you, and that's exactly what's happening. From the conversation with his wife, we can clearly piece together that he used to be a much better man before he immigrated to America. He was nice to his wife, yet something changed with him as he came to America, which is obviously the drive to make it big someday, the false promise of the American dream. He fell for it too, took shortcuts, and like Nico, fell into the life of crime, because he wanted to take shortcuts to get there, and now he finds himself unhappy and upset when things aren't really under his control. Even after achieving so-called success and money, he feels empty in a way, and that frustrates him, and the only way he can vent these feelings out is through rage, which is what ultimately leads to his demise. It's tragic and it serves as a subtle warning to Nico. This is what will become of him or Roman once they do achieve what they do, because that's not something they truly want. There's also the PTSD and trauma he has from the army, and he can't let that part of him go. He wants to be that authoritative figure that gives orders so soldiers can blindly follow, but things simply don't work like that in the real world, and he can't accept that. So he lashes out on his wife, his daughter, and also his right-hand man, Dimitri, when they don't listen to him. Similar to Mikhail, even Nico can't let go of his trauma from serving in the military, where he was forced to kill innocent children and do all sorts of heinous fucked up things, like human trafficking, which he carried on doing after his military days were over, because he believes that's all he's good for, a mercenary for hire that kills for money, with no empathy. He has pretty much accepted that he's a monster, and makes him a far more complex and well-written character than other GTA protagonists. Especially the conversation he has with Mikhail's wife gives me chills, man. It's so well written. Another character that is similar to him is Dwayne. Even he was discarded and ratted out by the people he trusted, just like Nico. I like his friendship with Nico, and he's probably the only character in the game that Nico opens up to the most in my opinion. There's no question between him and Playboy, I'd always choose him. Though my critique of that choice would be that the game makes the choice between who to kill a bit too obvious. I wish it was a much tougher decision that really makes you question your choice, but I had no regret killing Playboy. There's also other major choices you gotta make in this game, one of the other ones being between Derek and Francis McGreary. Now I sided with Derek because I kinda felt bad for the guy. He's clearly mentally ill and needs help, but he does seem to care for the family at least. Francis, on the other hand, is a corrupt cop who only looks out for his own interest. He doesn't mind getting his own brother killed if he wants to get promoted. Another consequence of the American dream where materialism, wealth, and fame come before anything else. Obviously, Nico as a character wouldn't side with him, since it's against his values and morals, so I killed that prick. One of the guys Nico is looking for is Florian, and he's certainly an interesting individual. I guess this is the first time Rockstar tried to portray a gay character in a game. There's also Tony Prince, obviously, but I think he feels a lot more authentic and real rather than feeling too performative like Florian or Bernie Crane. But then again, I don't really know too many gay people in my life to comment on this, but I don't think they behave like Florian. He's just very caricaturesque. But hey, at least he's fun to be around. His obsession with Bryce is quite hilarious, and it also pokes fun at the fact that conservative politicians have secret gay affairs whilst they openly campaign against them. The other guy who actually ratted out his allies and him was Darko. And the fact that he did it for money for drugs boils my brain. Like, how could you do this to your own pals and their families? But he's right when he points out that Nico does the same thing. He kills people for money, and it wouldn't mean a thing if he kills them here. This was another choice where I ultimately decided to let him go. He wasn't worth the trouble, and by sparing him, Nico is actively letting go of his traumatic past and moving on, changing for the better, which honestly makes more sense considering the themes of the game. His senseless chain of violence and killing will carry on even if he kills Darko. It would make him feel more empty. He just needs closure, and this is the best way he can get it. The last choice of the game determines the ending, and this was a tough choice to make. It's about whether you will succumb to the American dream by working with Dimitri in making the deal in order to be set for life with Roman, or take revenge on Dimitri and risk dealing with the consequences. Now I went with the revenge choice. Mainly because I hate Dimitri because he's a backstabbing piece of shit, but it's also more in character for Nico to do so. Obviously Nico doesn't like being betrayed, but on top of that he literally kidnapped Roman and burned down his house. That type of disrespect is something that Nico will not stand for. He wouldn't abandon his self-respect and morals for a bit of money like Roman would. And boy does it feel satisfying to finally kill this fucker. Though I do need to say that Dimitri is one of my favorite villains in the series. He's pretty much a product of the American dream gone wrong, working with people and fucking them over whenever it suits him, as long as he gets a little closer to it. I do wish the game explored him a little more, cause it certainly would have been interesting to see. I'm guessing he was also an immigrant like Nico, yet unlike him, he went for the money every time, and look where that got him. There's a strong mirroring between these two characters, as they both served in the military and saw a lot of violence and death, which would explain why Dimitri adopted the survival of the fittest mindset and still hasn't let go of his trauma. What's scary is that Nico could have gone down the same path if it weren't for Roman and his friends, which makes me kinda empathize with Dimitri in a way. Even though he's a snake, it's pretty sad that he didn't have people like Roman or Jacob that saw beyond his exterior. He pretty much gave up trusting people after all the horrific things he saw them do. Now obviously you do face consequences by picking either ending, and the ending choice I picked got Kate killed as she got caught in the crossfire between him and Pegorino. But man, I fucking love little Jacob and Roman in this scene. No matter what happens, they're always there for Nico, and the fact that Roman actively risks his life to come with you to take revenge just warms my heart. Love him or hate him, Roman always has Nico's back, which just makes him such a strong supporting character, man. This final mission is also one of my favorites, as you shoot down every one of Pegorino's men, chase him down by bike and then on a helicopter, and we get the final showdown at the Statue of Happiness. It's just fucking badass, man. For me, it's one of the strongest GTA 4 missions, and again, it feels satisfying to pull the trigger to wrap up our journey in Liberty City. I'm glad I made this choice. Now I also did the other ending, and it just confirmed what I already knew was gonna happen. Dimitri fucks you over like always, and you tragically lose Roman in the process. And it's fucking heartbreaking, man. Even the game is trying to communicate the idea that picking material wealth over your own morals and self-respect is not the way to go. It just makes it all the more harsh that Nico finds it out this way. The acting performance in this scene is pretty phenomenal in my opinion. The rage and sadness Nico feels at the same time, blaming himself for his death, is so well acted, man. This ending hits hard, man. It's even more tragic when you find out after finishing the game that Mallory was expecting a son with Roman. I nearly wept to tears in that phone call, man. This is exactly why I was glad I picked the other choice, just because it aligns more with Nico's beliefs and morals. The narrative of this game, in my opinion, was also paced pretty well. Never a minute I thought that it was dragging, and the way it was structured was also great. As you move your safe house across each island of Liberty City and unlock the new part of the map and also meet new characters, it really makes you feel that you're progressing and there's a new part of the game yet to be discovered. And I like when GTA games used to do this, keeping parts of the map locked until you progress through part of the story instead of having the whole map open from the get-go. Yet I understand why they stopped doing it from 5 onwards and might do the same with GTA 6, since people want everything handed down on a damn platter. I also appreciate how seamlessly the characters of the Ballad of Gay Tony and the Lost and the Damned managed to integrate themselves into the main story. It really gives the impression that the world is alive and there are other stories going on in it. I really wanted to cover those 2 DLCs as well, however I think they deserve a video of their own because they have completely different tone and vibe compared to that of the main game. So if you want me to make a video on them, please let me know. Who knows, if this video does super well, I might consider it. I think GTA 4 in my opinion has the best story in the series, because a lot of the characters feel like they have more depth than the other games. Sure, it does have its satirical commentary on American culture, but it goes further and actually shows a harsh reality of the American dream. How people so easily give in to greed, not hesitating to betray and kill each other just so they can get a step closer to achieving the dream. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there, and considering that I'm an immigrant also, I certainly do feel this competition to do better and make as much money as I can and be set for life. Yet I've become disillusioned with the whole idea at this point. Since the situation in the West is getting worse and worse, yet people still cling to the idea that they can make it big in America. It keeps them going, it gives them purpose, even if it is materialistic. And in that sense, this game's story was actually way ahead of its time, and it speaks to me more than anything else could. I'm glad I revisited this game, especially at this stage of my life. This game in terms of narrative and even gameplay wise still holds up really well. It still struggles with the typical Rockstar game design problems like no checkpoints between missions, but beyond that, I fucking love this game and honestly I prefer it any day over GTA 5. Its serious narrative tone, the rich setting of Liberty City and the dynamic and fluid gameplay. No other GTA game does what GTA 4 does. It's distinct from the other games in the series, and that's what makes it special. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit a like, subscribe and share this video. I'm really sorry this video took much longer than expected. I was busy with other things and also got really burnt out from making content. But now I seem to be doing better and I hope to deliver more content in the future. Please stay tuned for that. I will make that Black Flag Resync video soon. I can't wait to get started on it, so please stay tuned for that. And yeah, hope you guys have a good day and I'll see you very soon. Bye!